one of the reasons why when the Financial Times was creating our platform on sustainability and purpose, that we called it Moral Money. And I called it Moral Money to avoid any more acronyms like ESG. Because back in the early part of last decade, when I was writing a lot about credit derivatives and finance before the financial crisis, I struggled to get stories about things like CDF, CDOs, ABCDS onto the front page of the FT, because anything wrapped up in jargon or an acronym becomes invisible. And it wasn't until someone invented the word shadow bank that suddenly we had a way to put it on the front page of the FT. And I often think the word stranded asset is a similar kind of tipping point moment linguistically, because people have a way to talk about something without an acronym. But Aroma, you're sitting in the dreaming spires of Oxford, surrounded by people who are brilliant at wrapping topics up in complex language. I mean, how do you think we should try and make this more understandable and shift the debate towards these issues which we're talking about today, away from the economic jargon?
I have to say, Gillian, that I love your column on moral money. I would add, I think terminology is important, but I would add that we need to also invest in building financial capability. I am fortunate because I learned about the financial markets at dinner with my parents when I was 8 years old. My parents invested in the Nigerian stock markets, and he would make my sisters and I take turns in reading the company reports of companies that they had invested in. And, we all hated it. Of course, he wanted me to be an engineer. And when I turned to finance, I said to him, but, you started my career in finance at the dinner table. So in addition to us using more simple language, we need to build capability across board. You can see there's a lot of data around generational mobility in terms of poverty. There are many examples as to the kinds of training that people are getting. We're privileged. Anybody who gets to be on this platform is privileged, and I mean not just the four of us, but everyone who's the 2,000 people who are this. There are people who have no access to internet, things that we take for granted. And my view is that they don't even exist. They don't have an identity. So I mean, you could get me going, Gillian, on that. So it's terminology, but it's a lot more than that. We need to focus on the inequalities that society has. And there's a woman who's my age, who's a grandmother, and she still carries a pan on her head and walks 2 kilometers to go and get water. To be able to bathe her children. She can't have the same kinds of opportunities that I have. She can't. I'm just one of the fortunate few. So it's a big issue. It's terminology, but it's a lot more than terminology.